Hey, we're live here with Octavius. How are you doing today, Octavius?
Hey man, I'm good. I'm good. I hear you've been a bit under the weather. How are you feeling?
Better, yeah. Better each day.
Awesome.
Um, so today we're gonna be talking a bit about Gala, Mirandus, and sort of everything they've got going on over there, as well as Crown Capital, which is how would you describe it?
Well, Griffin Co is trying to be a kind of old school financial service company in a new metaverse. So we've been very active in Upland and are now kind of witnessing all of these big gaming studios arriving in the metaverse. And so we are trying to expand as fast as possible to not miss out on a lot of these opportunities. Um, we're going to talk about Gala and Mirandus today, but a shout out to, Axie that's really doing some impressive stuff. And Illuvium is looking really cool. And I know you're looking into, is it Bidamon?
Find them on, yeah, it's a fun
Yeah,
game.
so all of those are, the really the entry point of big gaming studios coming into the space. And yeah, it means that we have to, like, we can't just go it alone. We're going to talk about some prices in Gala, but we kind of need to form these old school capital pools and funding situations in order to be able to be competitive in the space. So that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely true. Like especially with something like Gala, as we get into those price tags, I think people will see why.
Yeah, I mean, you had come to me because you were like looking into Gala nodes yourself, and I'm like, wow, for real. Like we were just putting together Crown Capital. Crown Capital is something I'm doing with Satoshi View and a number of trustees. You're a trustee. People will probably know MXZ, MXZ PLK from Upland. He's a trustee. We've got Dizzy on board. He's getting involved. We've got Noise on board. He's getting involved. So, yeah, a lot of old guard from the early metaverse places are like, yeah, cool. I've been hearing about Miranda's. I've been hearing about Gala. There's just a lot going on over there. I either got a node or I just haven't had time to get into it. And we all felt the same way. I mean, I was being poked about it already in June, July, and I'm like, I don't know. It's either too good to be true or there's just too much work to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
which I wish I'd listened to them because those nodes, like the way that they sell those at like a, and for those who don't know, they sell the nodes at like a increasing rate. So after like X number are bought, it goes up a bit and increasingly up until I think the last one sold for, they just recently changed it. The last one will sell for $100,000.
right.
Um, which I mean, even though they're currently at 20 grand, I think, like it, um, I don't know. Just it's like a clear sign that it has potential to move there, and uh,
Yeah.
it's been something to me that like I can't get myself to forget about it, even if
Yeah.
I don't pay that amount for it. It's like I can't get out of my brain.
Yeah, I think they're trying to do two things. Firstly, the node holders all have to share the Gala that gets mined and the future transaction fee. So it's like you want to both reward your early investors that take the risk, but also not kind of dilute their potential earnings for people just coming in. And so I think Gala is saying, like, look, we want long-term serious investors over here. And if you don't want to be, if you want to come in now after waiting a year, that's fine, but you've got to compensate the guys who've been here from the start. And that's healthy because I think there's a really good YouTube called On Chain Gaming, and he made this point, and it really clicked. These guys are not selling shares, right? And the Gala Games did not even do a coin offering, right? The Gala nodes are essentially their capital raise. And so when you're buying into the assets in Miranda or the Gala nodes, that is how we're funding development, and if we look at the team involved, I mean, this is a stellar team. I think we've got an article about that, right? Like, I mean, these
Uh,
dudes are the 90s and 2000s rock stars, and pretty much been involved since then. So that's what got me saying, look, I've really got to set some time aside and do the research, because, no jokes. And and then I saw the prices, and it kind of at first blew me away, but then it got me more excited, because I'm like, hold on a second. It's one thing if they asked those prices and no one was paying it, right? But 87% of the land deeds are sold out. And
Crazy.
I think one of there's 5 citadels representing 5 player kingdoms. 3 of them have already sold, and the last one sold for 3.5 million.
So was that Sun, or?
I think it was Citadel of the Sun. Yeah,
It's crazy.
Yeah. Now, all of the land deeds have stayed the same price from the start, except the citadels. The citadels are doing the same thing as the Gala nodes. Every citadel that sells, the next one is more expensive. So the first one sold for 800K to Polygon Games, which, if people don't know, is a quite a big financial player in the space. They do vaulting services and stuff. I think I've got a link to that as well. The next one sold for 1.5 million. And then the last one just sold for 3.5 million or something. So yeah, pretty crazy. Let me just grab that link on Polygon in case anyone wants to check that as well.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me how much these are actually selling for.
Yeah.
So this is sort of, since these are all citadels, so these ones that are still left are
now at 6 million essentially. Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, there's that cool intro video. Maybe we can start that way, showing Mirandus, and then we can talk a little about the Gala ecosystem and stuff.
Yeah.
The dark will come again today, when faded is the light. And as the crickets loudly pay their homage to the night, orc and halfling, human, dwarf, and elf will lock their doors, as vile, vicious villains of the night invade in scores. But when the darkness pulls and calls, my eyes are open wide. When blackest shadows blanket falls, from me you'll never hide.
In the world of Mirandus, there are those whose actions and abilities have brought them glory and fortune. They are the skilled, the strong, the powerful, the ideal. They are the exemplars, and you could still be one of them. Your exemplar avatar may catch the attention of those around you in a crowded Mirandus tavern, but you can rest assured that their looks are looks of fear and admiration. These people have nothing on you. You are an exemplar.
All right, well, that was pretty cool. One thing I did want to add real quick is as we get into this, so for NFT Gamer TV, we're not trying to say any financial advice surrounding this. We just think it's a really cool project that needs to be covered.
Exactly.
Were you going to say anything about the video?
Yeah, well, let's go from the top up. So I think, firstly, for those not familiar with Gala Games is trying to become the Steam of the crypto gaming space. They are literally trying to make a platform ecosystem, and are hosting a number of games that are already live. The first to go live was Townstar, which is a play-to-earn game as well. And now they've just come out with a release of Spider Tanks, which is again, pretty awesome graphics. And all of this is using the Gala ecosystem and the Gala development team and the Gala hosting system and stuff. So they're trying to bring a lot of best practices together. And I think people should go and check those too. But personally, I got the most excited with Miranda's because I like two things. Firstly, I'm a big fan of RPGs and history and the medieval era and all of that. Secondly, I know that there is a huge player base that's crazily looking for a player-based, player-owned economy of an RPG. And then lastly, I think that platforms that have like a land-based economy, especially when there's a limited amount of land, right? That you've got these major hubs that are these towns and castles and stuff. That is a recipe for a super long-term potential economy. I mean, that's why you and I both come from Upland. We were excited about that. A lot of the people who've listened probably have seen what's gone on Decentraland. There's a lot of people here who've probably been involved in Sandbox. So land-based economic games seem to be the next stage that we need to be exploring in the crypto gaming platform space. And so I think people firstly just need to pull off kind of the blinder of, okay, you may not love medieval stuff or you may not love fantasy, but essentially what Miranda's is going to give us is a player-based owned economy that's based on lands and cities, which just happens to have a theme, and a really cool game that people can play too. And before people ask, it is free to play. Everyone will be able to come in as a human. The video that we just watched about exemplars is essentially the legendary beings, right? Like there's 25,000 legendary beings and you can still buy them. As they said, there's a couple of them left. And so if you're intending to actually play Miranda's as a player, totally go for one of them. But I think the focus we wanted to talk about today was more about the economy and the land situation. Yeah, exactly. He has the exemplars. The most expensive are the elves because there's only 1,000 of them, and one of the elves just sold out completely. I think it was at like 9,000. The last elf sold in the one of the elves. Yeah. Oh, and one of the humans is also sold out. Which human sold out? Seafarer or something? Strong Hands.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then what was the elf that sold out?
Everflow elf. Yeah, so there were 200 of those. I think there was a price tag initially of 5K, and then they were later at 8K, and yeah, they've sold out.
Let's see, what's like 80,000 Gala?
Yeah, they were like $8,000. Yeah. Now, exemplars essentially, from a game mechanic point of view, they've talked a few times in the AMAs. Essentially, it's like this. Exemplars have two benefits to them. Number one, they come with a buff, right? So they're going to have a special ingrained ability that they can hone, but it comes ingrained, meaning you can die in Miranda's and your NFT will be restarted. But if you're an exemplar, you'll always still have that ingrained skill. Now, you can still develop that skill, you can upgrade it, and if you're a free-to-play player, you can come and get spells and rings and upgrade to those levels too. But these exemplars have that ingrained ability. Secondly, in their price tag has to do with just collectability, right? If you want to stand out in the world of Miranda's, then you don't want to be a human, because everyone is going to be in a free-to-play player mode, a human. And so there are other races that are rarer that both come with a buff, but also the cosmetics. Like if I've got the money, I would love an elf. I just love an elf. It's just like you're going to walk around and people will be like, holy shit, I haven't seen an elf in 2 weeks. Because once this game gets to 1 million players and stuff, if there's only 1,000 elves and only 200 of each kind of elvish tribe, it's just going to be a crazy cool thing to be walking around as like a living demigod. So I think so many of the people listening are probably play to earn. There's also this aspect of collectability, right? A lot of people just buy NFTs and stuff because they're awesome. They want to use them. They want to have a collection of them. So I think that aspect mustn't be understated, because in Axie too, right? Like a lot of the Genesis Axies sell for no utility reason other than people like, I believe in Axie and I'm going to hold these because I'm sure they'll get capital gains and grow. And So there's that aspect in Mirandus too. Yeah.
Saw one of the articles you'd sent. So this is talking about the Citadel sale.
Yeah, that was, I think, the one. Yeah, that was the one that was publicly announced because it was an alliance with Polygon Games, and Polygon Games themselves are going to be opening banks within Mirandus, because your own avatar in Mirandus is essentially being structured like a wallet, right? Like every asset you own, your sword, your rings, your maps will be on your person. And if there's space to link them to your person, you're essentially a walking wallet. But anything else that you want to vault, you can go and put in the bank.
It's cool.
Yeah, I love how detailed they're going. The more immersive it is, right? The better. And we've learned from Minecraft that those kinds of blocky graphics have a lot of advantages to them. Number one, they allow for a mobile player game. Number two, they allow for very quick rendering, so that you can put your emphasis on making as many kind of moving parts as possible instead of trying to downgrade the amount of moving parts so that you can have higher graphics, right? Because Mirandus really wants to have as many player-created jobs as possible, inns, taverns, farms, and all of that kind of stuff. So because of that, I think it's really wise that they've gone that route. And number three, from a design point of view, it's very easy for their design team to knock out expanded maps and stuff.
Yeah, I think the like blocky sort of art style as well is more or less future proof. In terms of like as graphics get better and better, it won't necessarily like change the world you're playing in.
Exactly.
Because like, yeah, I just remember like Minecraft updating to 4K and thinking it was kind of funny. I mean, there's definitely new, like you can see a lot more texture in the blocks, but it's not anything that was like game changing.
Yeah,
which is cool because not everybody can afford to be playing it in 4K. So it's the same game for everybody, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and from a blockchain point of view, we technically have the problem of how much can we stick on the chain, right?
Yeah.
You know, we keep seeing, right? Like Axie just had a major problem with a bottleneck. Upland just had a bottleneck too. So when you are actually minting NFTs, right? Like if you are a blacksmith, you've just created a sword, that's being minted on the chain. If everyone is minting stuff on the chain from maps to swords and stuff, when we get to a great player base, you're going to have these bottlenecks. And we haven't solved those problems yet, right? The technical problems are harder to solve than the graphical problems. The graphical problems, as you said, tend to more be on the player side. We need better internet. We need better graphic cards. The technical side's on the blockchain side, and we haven't solved those yet. Not without risking safety, right? If you're dealing with valuable assets, you can't just kind of have ridiculous side chains that don't keep safety in place. So these are these problems that are going to take a couple of years to solve. But in the meantime, we want a game and we want to make money and play to earn. And I when I was listening to the AMAs, I've said this already, but I think it was so important that they really want people to be able to free to play. Axie solved that problem with the scholarship model. And Mirandus is going to solve that problem with, if you've got time and no money, you can come and grind, right? The blacksmith is going to need wood. The farms are going to need people to literally do the grind of getting the wheat grown and stuff. And there is going to be something called sanctuary cities, where new players can go and borrow like a spade or a sword or something. And some of the money they can then keep to kind of like buy their own equipment. And some of the money will go to charities. So they are really thinking about
like like a sort of scholarship, I guess, like, or like a sponsorship system to like, letting you play it, and these like conglomerates building around that sort of economy. Like, yeah, that's really cool to do it themselves and give it to charity.
Yeah, because I think that's the balance you need, right? You don't want to. This is a capitalist economy, right? We love our whales. They bring stability. They are the investors that are making these games happen. If we don't get the people buying the citadels, we don't get this amazing dev team paying their staff. We've got to have the whales. but you don't, and you want to reward those whales with capital gains and future growth and income and stuff, but you don't want to price it out completely of new players, right? That's like Decentraland. No one can buy any land over there. And that in and of itself isn't a problem, but then what are the jobs that they can do? Like, okay, fine, you're now in Decentraland, what do you do over there? And so finding that balance is super important.
Definitely.
And of course, it's a medieval society, right? Everyone's a peasant. So it just fits that there's only a couple of land barons and nobles and everyone else is a peasant who's kind of like finding their ways. So that's good. I'm okay with that. And
see like what people can become as they start out like free to play. And seeing like the grind all the way to the top.
Yeah, and nobles, people who have the important land deeds, which we can start discussing now if you like, are going to be able to deputize people. So like you can become a non-nobled mayor of a town and get a buff as well, just because you've worked your way to the top. So there are ways to become important influencers having been free to play. And it's all going to play out in the game economy. So in other words, like in Axie, maybe you're a Axie manager right now managing, you know, on behalf of 5 big managers, whatever, 1,000 scholars. There's no in-game mechanic that shows that yet, right? It's all off the chain in a way. Whereas in Mirandus, you are literally going to be deputized with titles. People are going to know, you know, you're going to get like Defender of the Realm and have a buff for ballistic weapons or something because you're actually the manager of this town in game. So that kind of stuff that they're thinking through, just I kind of geek out on all of that stuff. I mean, I spent like 8 years in Second Life doing cosplay over there, and I had an entire medieval city and like 120 players and stuff. And that also got me thinking, someone else said this too, on-chain gaming. People literally paid until now, right? Forget like play to earn gaming. People literally paid $10, $15 a month subscriptions for all these games because they were fun, right? Yeah. Imagine getting both of those aspects now. You're not only not paying for this, you're having fun, you're doing your RPGs, you're exploring these worlds, people you like, building guilds and stuff. And if you want to grind or do a job, you can also earn money. That just kind of blows my mind, you know?
Yeah, I think it's gonna like be really cool to see how blockchain gaming sort of revolutionizes like our global economy. Because like certain jobs are going to have to either like revolutionize automation or revolutionize the way that they're paying people.
Yeah.
Because if a game like Gala, you can earn more than a minimum wage from playing Gala, and your other option is to go earn that minimum wage, like working, I don't know, in the service industry, for an example. Personally, I'm picking Gala. Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I had at least 10 friends in Second Life in Eastern Europe who were, you know, in-game designers making armor and stuff, and that's been their income for the last decade. And now we literally got statistics from Axie the other day where I think it's 800,000 Filipino people and Venezuelan people who are making either their full-time income in Axie or augmenting their income, which just kind of truly blows your mind, you know, because it also makes, like people like Warren Buffett have often talked about the idea of the ovarian lottery, right? Like some of us born in the West, we're just born lucky, right? Unless you're an absolute Einstein in Nigeria, you likely aren't going to be found out, right? Whereas if you were half that level of IQ and born in Canada or America, you've got a really good chance. And these online games are revolutionizing the kind of solving that problem, right? Like we always talk about the capitalist dream of no barriers of entry. Like if you're willing to work and you've got the skill set, you should be able to get hired. And that's what this has solved now, right? Like if you are a hardworking person from the Philippines, you've learned English and you've got a skill set in management, you can literally take over the management of, you know, of an Axie team, and you're probably going to ask a better rate than the guys in the first world countries. So it's now an even playing field in that sense, right? Where
you are in the world doesn't necessarily matter. Like exactly. Where you are in the world doesn't necessarily matter because like the one thing that has been globally revolutionized is cellular internet. Both
Exactly.
of those. The phone, I say phone access has been it's definitely far reaching. Computer access maybe not as much, but um it's getting there. Especially like imagine if you could play Axie on your phone enough to where you get enough money to like buy a computer and upgrade and like it can yeah. It's
Well, a
just a
dude
really
just told me he bought a house. Forget the computer.
yeah.
He just bought his first house.
That's awesome.
You know, like his mom still can't get over it. It's like, how do you make this money again? Are you sure the police aren't coming? I mean, it's truly like an amazing concept that. Not only that, like you also talk about like a lot of YouTubers, right, have over the years moved to funny places, right? Like there's a lot of YouTubers who've moved to Andorra for tax benefits and stuff. And so it's not only helping the third world people, but it's allowing people to be digital nomads, like truly be digital nomads. And that's so exciting. I mean,
I heavily anticipated when I saw that I think it was Costa Rica's offering like a 1 year digital nomad where you don't pay taxes for a whole year for your whole first year of living there, as long as you can prove that your income is coming from out of country, which is really cool. I really thought about moving there. It's I mean,
I
like
know a dude who sold some NFTs in Upland has been traveling the world.
huh?
I know a dude who's been traveling the world. He sold some NFTs in Upland, and he's like, I can't talk now. I'm on the beach.
That's awesome.
So so that's the overview of Gala and Miranda's. And to there's our bad crypto Jedi. Hey, dude. So a couple. Let's go a bit deeper into the economy. So one of the things, and again, I don't want to throw Upland under the bus too much over here, but one of the things that it's like the elephant in the room is Upland has no finite amount of real estate, right? Like even though they essentially could build every city in the world, which realistically, if you move to a rental economy, how many beds and heads would you need to fill every one of those properties that everyone's got like a home and a place for a business, right? It's a daunting number. Whereas when you look at Decentraland, they had a limited supply, and that's why we see properties going for like millions of dollars over there. But as we've mentioned, they didn't think through what would new players come and do to earn. Now, so Miranda's has gone like the middle of both. Miranda's said, look, we've got to be realistic over here. No one wants to be in a ghost town, right? If you've got a medieval village and no one's there, you can't fill the inn, you can't get a blacksmith, it's not going to be going anywhere. So they said, there's 1,167 land deeds. There'll never be any more. Of those 1,167, 1,000 of them are homesteads, and only 40 of them are big towns, and 5 of them are the great castles. And we can go and look at price now, but that part got me really excited because I can live with the fact that the prices are high if they're doing it right. Right here we're talking about. So there are only 5 towns of the Archduke. There are 5 great citadels, 10 towns of the Prince, I believe 15 towns of the Duke, and 15 towns of the Marquis. And then I think there was 20 of each of the villages. And then you get down to the homesteads and the outposts and stuff. And so Miranda's itself as a world map will be quite large, right? They'll often be expanding on the world map. So there'll be like quests and adventures, and you can find hidden cities and stuff like that. But the hidden like ruins and stuff where you can fight minotaurs and maybe get prizes and stuff. But the actual player economy will be based around these hubs, right? Like for anyone who's played World of Warcraft, these are your guilds, these are your major cities. And you need that critical mass because, that was one of the major things that killed Second Life. You would have 90,000 people logged on at any time. And when you looked on the world map, you've got 2 and 5 people in every spot, right? Because people in their home, because it was so cheap to just have your own land, there wasn't enough incentive for people to try and kind of coordinate and build a major city. And the few places that did lasted from 2012 to 2020 because they'd already built that kind of brand and that critical mass. And so Miranda's is getting this right, I think, where as long as the buildings are scalable, as long as you can upgrade your building, right? You don't need more space, but you can turn your inn into like 100 people can sleep there at night. It may cost you an upgrade amount or something. That's going to be super awesome to have these like really bustling cities and inns, and that's where people meet each other and build guilds. I mean, I know people that got married off of World of Warcraft. So it's no joke that people need to be able to coordinate and meet each other.
To me, when I think of Gala, like what they're selling in terms of like the inns and stuff, it feels like they're almost like when you buy into the game, you basically pay to become an NPC, and like fill that sort of NPC role, which I think is a really cool way to look at it. I don't know, like it's I've always wanted to be able to play as an NPC, so I think it'll be cool to actually see a game where that's a thing.
Well, I mean, I think it can be more than that, because if you want to be an active player, just by holding one of these deeds, you are going to be a titled kind of landlord, right? You're a titled noble. So you can't exactly, because so let's go into this. So I was looking at the prices and I said, shit, I mean, 200K for a Town of the Prince. I mean, that's both exciting and daunting. And Wall Street and I were talking together. We're like, how do we buy these? Like there's only 8 Towns of the Princes left. The towns of the Duke are sold out. The towns of the Archduke are sold out. How do we buy these? And so we said, let's go talk to some peeps and maybe we'll put together a DAO. And for those not familiar, a DAO is essentially the crypto version of a stock company. We're pooling assets with different shareholders. We're going after the Town of the Prince, as many as we can get. We're just over the halfway mark. So if anyone's listening and wants to get involved, we're at like 120K now, and we need to get to 200,000 to get our first Town of the Prince. But yeah, I would rather own a piece of a real hub, of something that's going to be really strong and essential to the game, than kind of buy a few homesteads and be relevant. I've always done well in games with having something special, whether it be in Upland of owning Wall Street, whether it be in Second Life of owning, a well-known and branded medieval town, whether it be in real life with real estate investments. You do not want to have the generic stuff. So yeah.
So how do y'all plan to run the DAO?
So we've structured it as we structured in 2 ways, also for security reasons. So all of the voting tokens are going to be on the Wax chain. So there's going to be a governance NFT that gives people a vote relative to the amount of tokens that they've bought. Then in addition to that, there will be governance tokens where people can vote on different amendments as they see fit, and then bring amendments to proposals. So we're also going to have a website where we have a forum of all of the shareholders, so that they can, or the token holders actually, so that they can put forward amendments if they feel concerned about something. Now, once Mirandus itself becomes active, we will then put together a board who will be in charge of hiring and paying salaries to the people who are actually active in Mirandus. And then every quarter, we will do a vote to decide on the capital distribution. Do we reinvest some, or do we just pay it out as dividends?
So for the vote there at the end, the sort of amendments that people can propose, will they be able to propose like amendments to the vote? Say like they don't have any of the options up there, they could propose like a fifth.
Yeah, we just kept 2 security clauses in place. One clause was that no majority can take away the pro rata dividend payout. So in other words, let's say 51% said, hey, we're going to make a new special class of shares and only this share group gets tokens, gets dividends. That's not possible. The trustees will just block it. And the other thing that can happen is, let's say that 51% starts paying massive salaries, so there's no kind of dividend to be paid out. any 20% of the remaining shareholders can put forward a motion to ask for an audit by one of the 100 top accounting firms, so that we're always linked to best practices. I think of these things as deterrents. By putting these in place from the start, we're basically telling potential bad actors, sod off and go and do something yourself, right? If you want to go and own your Town of the Prince and be arseholes about it, go and do it. Go put your own 200,000. But this is a DAO that's meant to enrich all of its players. We also decided not to publicly trade the tokens, meaning people can sell their tokens without a problem. However, every new person they sell the token to has to be voted in by 51%. So again, we consider the shareholders to be partners. It's going to be a private company in a sense. And any new shareholder needs to not be having crazy beef with some of the current shareholders.
If somebody does have, like, maybe they don't even have an argument with somebody that makes them want to leave, but say they just get bored of Mirandus and they'd like to essentially, I guess you were talking about selling off, so that's allowed.
Yeah.
But could they sell their position back to Crown Capital rather than finding a buyer?
So until the 1st of December, if anyone wants their cash back, they can have their cash back. We put that in place. And after that, yeah, we're going to look after the first fund, the capital raising. So we're raising now to the value of either 500,000 or until 2 weeks are up. That's like our first raise. Then we can take it to a vote and see, do we want to raise more capital and at what price do we now price the tokens, right? Because as Miranda sells out even more, the floor price on the value of the land deeds is going to keep rising. I mean, it's already rising. If you look at OpenSea on some of the stuff, some of the buildings that have sold out, they're already quite a lot higher than their mint price. So once we pass the 1st of December, if anyone wants to sell out, I'm always going to take people's shares, and Wall Street feels the same way. Satoshi View feels the same way. But if they're a large stakeholder and none of the current shareholders want to buy it, then yes, we will help them broker it. We'll straight to help them broker it because I'm sure there'll be quite a waiting list for people that want to get in. Because look, I think of towns as the goose that lays the golden eggs, right? Anyone who's into trying to put their assets into something that's going to pay income long term wants to own a town, right?
Yeah. I have another question about so people who invest, will they, because there will be the titles related to the town, like being deputized. So first, who would get the title of like town owner or baron? I don't know which one it is. And then will those who invest at any level receive like deputization, or will they have to earn it like anybody else who?
So funny enough, the majority of the people who've come in always ask me, do I have to be active? I really don't want to be active. Can I just vote? I don't want to be active. So for them, this is awesome because essentially they are shareholders, right? Anyone who wants to be active on a administrative level, i.e. as a board member, or wants to run a city or a blacksmith or an inn or run the fighting pits, they will be the first option that we try and hire. And if they're competent and if they're asking a fair price, we'll give our token holders first dibs on managing businesses and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to put my name forward to run a town. I totally want to run a town. I don't have to be the chairman of the board, but I mean, I would love to run one of the towns because this is the type of game that I would totally play. So yes, if they're going to be active and if they
runs it, and then whoever runs it would then be able to like decide who gets deputized. Would there be any sort of like vote on who gets deputized, or once you vote in the town baron or town ruler, I don't know, do they then get to make those decisions without another vote?
Yeah, I think that would be left up to the board. In other words, the board will decide how much autonomy they're giving the deputized kind of managers, right? Because your board is making the executive decisions, whereas each business or town will have kind of a management team because we're going to run this like a private city. I think that's the part people, until you click that this is essentially a private city. I mean, London is run like a private city. I think a lot of people don't understand that there are private cities. There are cities in America. I mean, Disneyland is a private city, right? So
And
once
Disney-
once you look at these town deeds as private cities, and it's a private city that's going to be run as a business, then you can see, okay, you're going to need a management team, aka a mayor, and you're going to need then people, making sure that people are paying their rent and all of those. And then, of course, if we can actually run the businesses directly, that would be amazing. So, like, for example, we could just get rents from people, right? Because the way it's going to work is someone says, hey, like, they buy the plot for $100 from you and then pay a monthly rent of $20. But if we were to actually own those buildings too, we could hire the blacksmith himself and pay him a staff fee, right? Pay him a salary. So in theory, we could earn just $100 a month on the rent, or we could maybe earn, $100 plus 25% of the profits or something. We could make an arrangement like that. So there are just so many options when you, have the golden goose. I think we were seeing some questions over there. So the town that we're trying to purchase is 200,000. It's the second largest town in the game. Zamad was asking. There are some smaller towns. There's still a town of the Marquis available, which is around 100K. But for anyone wondering why, I will toss you a link as well. Let me toss you a link because then you can see what's available in each of the towns and why we've targeted specifically the town of the Prince. And hopefully we'll get into that point next. But yeah, toss this link up. And if you go to the different land deeds, you'll see that only citadels can have the majestic buildings, and only towns of the Prince and towns of the Duke can have the grand buildings. So if you scroll down to town of the Prince, now towns of the Archduke, all 5 are sold out. They sold out at 300K each, gone. Towns of the Duke sold out at like 110K. They're all gone. Click on town of the Prince. It will show you what you can have inside. Okay, so you see, you can have 2 grand buildings. Now, none of the other towns and villages can have grand buildings. And so something like a grand inn or a grand tavern may have double the capacity of rooms or something, which really ups our earning potential. And not only ups the earning potential, right? Players are going to gravitate to hubs, right? And the more potential business and clients and people to sell to and stuff, the more blacksmith is going to want to be in your town, right? If you've got a little outward village in the middle of nowhere, that blacksmith knows he's not going to earn as much, right? The customers who are going to come to buy swords are not going to be buying the unique legendary sword. They're going to buy in the middle range swords. And maybe he'll sell 2 a week instead of 20 a day. So size matters, and a critical mass of what you can do in a city matters.
I'm just answering. They're asking if it was USD or in Gala, and it's 2 million Gala, which
let's talk in USD because they've pegged these prices to USD. So the town of the Prince is 200 USD, approximately.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe they're using a different price gather.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be delayed, right? We always know about these. You can change it to ETH, by the way. Change it to ETH. People have a lot easier time.
You can't anymore.
No, you can't. Change it to ETH. It's okay.
Oh, if I switch my balance to ETH, that switches it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, no, that just shows my balance. Yep. I was looking at that all wrong.
Okay, cool.
I was trying to click here yesterday to switch it, and I couldn't get it to switch. Whoops.
Yeah. So ETH is a lot easier, I think, for people to recognize. So it's approximately 200K. Now, another question I keep be getting asked, because a lot of DAOs, and I mean, we all know crypto games that have had some guy holding the keys and messed around with it. And security is a big issue in DAOs. So one of the, we were talking about all of the kind of the stocks, the voting stocks, the tokens that represent your stake in the DAO. Those are all on the Wax exchange, which essentially means they've got no core underlying value. So there's very few reasons for a bad actor to come after them. The bad actors are going to come after kind of the cash float. And the good news is Gala has its own inbuilt wallet. Now, you can link that wallet to MetaMask if you want, but you don't have to. And so we've essentially keeping the Crown Capital wallet vaulted within the Miranda Scala universe. And we've put in place 3 levels of trustees. The first levels of trustees are the ones who hold the login passwords and the seed phrase and so on. The second group of trustees hold, which you're of, hold the 2FA. So like I'm one of the first level trustees. I cannot transfer any of the funds or assets without getting either you or Satoshi View online. And then should something happen to the backup, Noise, for example, is holding the seed phrase. In addition, the backup email goes to Satoshi View. So yeah, and we will not, because it's so well vaulted in the Gala system, we're not doing any form of cold storage. Also because the majority of the core assets will be these big NFTs, which again, a thief has very little incentive to steal a big art piece, right? He wants the coins. And so we will essentially only have a few months float at a time, which will then be distributed. And someone else asked us, we will probably be distributing the funds more than every quarter, right? We will take a vote on what to do with the funds every quarter. But if there's nothing for us to be reinvesting in, we may vote to send out the funds monthly. So the float will not likely be that large that any thief or bad actor could come after. So do you need any of these NFTs to play Miranda's? Will there be a big advantage? So Blue Fox, as a player yourself, if you want to come in as a free-to-play player, or if you want to just spend a little bit of money, you go for an exemplar, because you will be able to come into the world of Miranda's, try and get hired at jobs, go and do grinds like going on quests and missions and farming and all of that. They've spoken already of each town will usually have billboards where, like, let's say someone who's making potions needs a certain kind of herb and gem to make the potion. They may have on the billboard how much they'll pay today and tomorrow to get those items. So as a player, you do not need to own land deeds. The land deed is essentially the way for the whales to come in and take a long-term investment in the Miranda's metaverse. And I'm not a whale, I'm a dolphin apparently. So I'm going to try and, do a Voltron situation and pull a bunch of other dolphins together and maybe pretend to be a whale when we buy a couple of the towns. So that's our goal.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather have a piece of a pie this cool than try and, bitch about the fact that I can't get it my own. Because I can go and buy a village myself. What am I going to do with a village?
Yeah, if you got like the Earl that's still there, there's a lot more opportunity that is offered from the town that you don't have offered from the village. That, like, I'd argue a dolphin-sized piece of a whale-sized pie is bigger than just a dolphin by itself.
Exactly. Because think of it like this, right? Let's say you go ahead and you buy a village and you can make it work. Villages, I don't want to throw them under the bus either. They're not shit. You can go and buy a village, and you know what? You can put in the man hours to run that village. You can put together your team. You can get on Discord. You can, advertise the hell out of it. You can form a community that's loyal to this village. You can do all of that. But when you own a town of the Duke, a town of the Prince, or a town of the Archduke, everyone needs us. Right? Every blacksmith is going to be applying for one of our plots. Every inn is going to want to be with us. The only people higher than us are going to be the citadels, and they're going to have the majestics. So anyone who's got a grand inn or grand tavern is literally going to be looking for us. And I think that people can't understand how much buying power and how much strategic power that gives a potential owner of a town of the Prince. It's just business, right? I mean, I prefer to be Coca-Cola.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, Blue Fox, but I would say come in with us, right? If you're willing to spend that amount of money, come in and take a 40% stake in, Crown Capital, and let us buy 2 towns of the Prince, right? I mean, the more towns of the Prince we need. I mean, if we manage to buy all 8 towns of the Princes, the Citadel kings are going to be falling over each other to ask us to be aligned to their kingdom, because they also have to get. I mean,
the Citadels are going to, like, if you get a big enough of the, I don't even know, I guess they're like a Kraken-sized piece, and this is a whale pie, but like they're gonna, they still need it, and like that much influence will matter to them a lot.
Yeah, because they're going to get like a tax, right? They're going to get a royalty for offering protection and stuff, but they're going to be rich rich kingdoms and poor kingdoms. I mean, let's be clear, right? Because if one of the kingdoms manages to get all of the great towns to align to them, just the royalty alone, right, even if we're paying them 1% in taxes or something, is going to fund their whole army, not to mention fund their marketing campaign. So there's no way kingdoms are going to be equal. And so if we have a consortium of the town owners, yeah, that gives us a hell of a lot of strategic negotiating power.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and someone else, we don't, we're not trying to break the game either, right, Sanika? I mean, we're not trying to, the idea isn't that we're trying to buy up such a monopoly that free-to-earn players will never be able to afford anything. I believe in free market setting the prices, right? When there's 10,000 players in Miranda's, we'll be able to charge one kind of rent. When there are 100,000 players, we can charge a different rent. When there's 1 million players and the blacksmith is selling 2,000 swords a day and is hiring 5 assistants, we will charge a different level of rent.
Yeah. Or if we ever reach 1 billion players in the game, that's going to be a whole new level of rent.
Yeah, because I think the thing we learn from Second Life, right? Like I've got friends who are making, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month in income over there, but they are still doing markets at scale. They're selling chairs for 20 cents a piece. They're just selling 2,000 of them, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't think the prices have to skyrocket in the NFTs like the swords and stuff like that. Our rent will go up because of markets of scale. The blacksmith will literally be 10 times busier, right? And so anyone who's coming to this town, who's like hunting in this area, this is their zone, is going to come to this town to sharpen their swords, to get their meal, to get their in. We're just going to have markets of scale. And so the intention here is not to maximize the prices on the little people. It's to get markets of scale. Yes, Marcy, it's going to be totally available on mobile. That is why they keep reiterating the fact that they so want it to be this Minecraft kind of style, because it allows them to scale and also to create kind of graphical rooms, right? So if the map is expanding, it will only load part of the map for you, or just one village or one town, so that you can completely be able to do it on mobile. So that's huge. If you can't do mobile, it really doesn't matter how cool the game looks. It's game over.
Yeah, you need like the people who tune in like for the 30 minutes a day they spend in the bathroom or something like that. Like
exactly.
That little action adds so much to the game if you have 1 million people doing it, or even 10,000 people doing it.
Exactly. Who was the dude who was talking earlier? Maybe we should if anyone wants to be in contact with me, I can drop my personal Discord and they can kind of hit me up, or they can hit you up. Let me toss this over.
Either one. You hit me up, I'll send you to Octavius, or we have their Discord link here. So
yeah,
you could also go to
and that also raises something else. In our DAO mandate, we are totally okay with offering equity for stuff. In other words, if someone's already bought buildings, right? And they're like, shit, I mean, I just bought that because that's all I could afford. I would have loved a town. That's okay. If you've got certain buildings that are useful to our town, we will swap it for you for equity at the last known price, or in the secondary market at the last asking price or selling price. Or if you're one of the people who owns a town of the Archduke and you're keeping quiet, or bought one of the 2 towns of the princes, I mean, we totally want to work with you. And anyone who bought villages and stuff, just because that isn't our priority to buy right now, we would totally like an alliance as well. We can make best practices. We can share, like staff across the inns. Come at me with ideas. We love making everyone money. What Marty asking?
Address real quick. If the deeds are already for sale.
Yeah. In fact, Marcy, they're 87% sold out. And why kind of is like, I was so slow to get into Miranda's, and I kept every 2 weeks I'd look back and I'm like, oh my God, another Citadel sold, or shit, I missed the towns of the Archduke. So I finally, Wall Street has also been, Satoshi View has been really busy with other projects. I mean, you've had him on the show, and I've been crazy busy before the NFL consolidating things for Upland. And I'm like, okay, enough. I've got to just put a week into doing research on this because I know I'm going to hate myself if I miss out on Miranda's.
I want to. Oh, whoops! I did not mean to click that one. I want to figure out how to become this giant bull.
No, you can't. That's the Minotaur King.
I know.
Oh, but funny enough, you bring that up. They said there are going to be certain. They said some of like the legendary beings that you can go and slay may take years and years before someone's built up enough skills and buffs to go and just kill them. And when you kill them, you may actually get like a one-of-a-kind skill set that's now linked to your avatar. So I think we're gonna have a serious kind of like World of Warcraft kind of league of players over here. Where people get sponsors and like live stream it and have competitions and stuff. I think, no joke, we're going to have some really serious strategic game players, professional players. I'm interested mostly on the land side, on running a city on the business side, but I think the gameplay is going to be insanely kick-ass. I mean, like,
yeah, that's what I like. If I were to invest on my own, I'd probably go more toward buying something to like a character to actually play in the game and like be that person that people need to come in and like kill something or I don't even know what sort of tasks there would be, but
yeah,
I think
I think if anyone's got spare, look, if you've got enough to come in with us, great. And if you're kind of fighting between going for both, you can buy human exemplars with some pretty cool buffs at not crazy prices. I think the cheapest one's around $300 now. And if you missed out some of them already on OpenSea. Just be careful for scams, though. There'll be a Miranda's tick. Go like search for Miranda's and go to the official Miranda stuff on OpenSea with a tick, and look for exemplars. And you'll see on the secondary market you can already buy some of the kind of exemplars at solid prices. So yeah, I think for anyone who's excited about actually playing, go for it. Also, we're already in the third alpha test. If you own an exemplar, you will be invited each time there's another alpha test. So if you go and check, for example, On-Chain Gaming, let's toss this link out there. This was the second test that he live streamed, where he went in with his kind of exemplars to check it out. And if you check the first alpha stream and versus the second and now the third, they are working so fast. It's I mean, you and I said this privately, but I mean, it was like too good to be true, right? Like when we first saw Miranda, it's like, come on, man. I mean, we're not there yet. It can't be. And it isn't too good to be true. They're making it happen. Look, let's be realistic. Even if they get something out by January, it's not going to be the full metaverse, right? It's not going to be all the tools. But they're already talking about having their next AMA inside Miranda's at like a town hall, that they've set up as a village. So we're going to get some of the components for sure January, and probably some of the play to earn mechanics by April. And the fact that they're already testing those all in Townstar and Spider Tanks means that we're getting the best practices from these earlier games. So it's really
do we
exciting.
know what like these orcs do?
Click on one, they'll tell you their buff. Click on one that tells you each buff.
Let me see, which one did I think looked coolest? I like this one. Can sense aggressive creatures. So that's where there's the aggressive creature. That's cool. Yeah.
So each one has a buff. So Mossy just asked a question, will there be PvP, right? Player to player, player versus player? Mossy, the answer is yes. One of the founders said that they are designing smart contracts so that players and maybe even entire Citadel kingdoms can kind of go to war with each other. So within the town, it will be sanctuary. But if you find someone in a forest who's not of your faction, if you've signed a smart contract with them, you can kind of go and fight. That's why one of the human exemplars has his buff is the one that sold out. Have a look at the one that sold out there, the Pit Fighter. Have a look at the Pit Fighter.
Sean Hands is sold out. The Pit Fighter is still.
Okay, but check Pit Fighter. He's got the benefits of like
bonus when fighting empty-handed.
Right. So if you encounter someone in the forest, you'll be able to do something with them, and maybe you'll kind of gamble your sword or gamble your coin pouch or something like that.
Okay, so this one was sold out because I guess this character is going to be like the best at sort of crafting.
Yeah.
Based on reading this, or most efficient is what it sounds like.
Exactly. So that's a person who says, I want to work in the game. Right. And that makes sense. Yeah. Or there's one of the halflings has a real major benefit over cooking. Let's see which one it is.
This one has a cool one. You can like turn invisible from crouching, or mostly invisible.
Yeah,
halfling.
The Proud House. Yeah, click on the Proud House.
Incredible meals very quickly.
Yeah. So that's going to be huge, right? Like as the inns scale up, you're going to need to hire these people if you're trying to serve 100 people meals, right? So some of these buffs are going to be pretty impressive. But I do want to reiterate that most of these special beings, you are paying a premium for cosmetics. So if you are limited on funds and want an exemplar, go for a human. What did you want to say? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. I was trying to cut you off. What was I going to say? If somebody were to invest into Crown Capital and then buy one of these characters on their own, they could, I guess, work for
sure. That's what I'm saying. The Crown Capital assumes that the token holders are passive. If they then want to become active, they each can have their own account. Also, let's toss a referral link over there, please. There are no particular benefits yet to the referral links, except if you buy Gala nodes. But we would really like you to use our referral code so that we can show, when we go and kind of talk to the Miranda's team, we can show them that we kind of have an impressive following that we're representing. So if you could please use the Crown Capital referral code, that'd be awesome.
Thinking that might be a conflict of interest to share, but I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, do you also have a referral code? Go for it. If you've got a referral code, use yours. No problem.
I don't know now. I'll put both. People can choose.
No. It's your show. Come on. Go for it.
I gotta find mine. I'll do that off stream.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, absolutely. We are going to have active jobs for sure. And anyone who wants to get involved, we will, come and join Griffin Co. Because we will, the moment things start getting real and active over there, we will definitely be posting for people to come and join the towns and get involved and come and do the grind and just play. So absolutely.
Because how do I access my referral code?
Log into Gala.
Okay. Yeah, we'll show everybody how to find your.
Sure. Go to Gala. Go to the right hand corner, Sanika. Right, exactly, and then click social.
Okay.
And then copy referral code. There we go.
Thank you.
And while we're here, just have a look. This, everyone, at the top over there where it says Gala, that is your in-game wallet. Right, so you can, if you go back to the, click on the top left-hand corner, not right, top left-hand corner, exactly. Click on that Zero Gala wallet over there. Just click on that and people can see that the in-game wallet.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, and then let's also toss in the YouTube how to link their MetaMask if they want to.
I'm not even sure I did that. Yeah. In the chat. I mean,
I think it's a reason for Crown Capital, but most people will probably want to. And you can link your OpenSea account if you want. So you can link your OpenSea to your MetaMask and then have that link to your Gala, and it will show literally all three places. While you're there, also here's something interesting. You see that says Town Coin. So Miranda's will likely have its own floated currency as well. Miranda's will likely have its own coin in addition to the Gala coin. But again, the Gala node owners will still get some of the transactional fees. So
in that other token as well.
Yeah, exactly. In all those games. So
you can entry into all of their games through.
Exactly. Yeah, look, after we get at least one Town of the Prince, we do intend to try and buy some Gala nodes as well. I just felt that from a person who wants to be an actively run land businesses, and that's my experience, is the towns are just going to be potentially so much higher upside.
This is a good question. If you have a
You
Gala
can't retroactively, but they don't. But there's no problem with multiple accounts in Gala. So if you want to open a second account with a different email, you can totally go for it.
And then how does the referral work? Like
So the referral currently only gives the benefit of a perk to. So if they go and buy a Gala node themselves, the person referred them will get a kickback on the first kind of Gala that they're minting, as I understand, or a continue amount of minting. One has to check that, but it's specifically the referral code bonus right now is specifically if you're buying a Gala node. But from my point of view, when we start to approach the Gala team, because I'm already speaking to some of the mods in their Discord, I just think it will show a lot of, it will give us a lot of influence when we both own a town and can say that, look, 200 people have signed up via us, right? We are a consortium. We are representing a serious long-term player base. So.
Never mind. I was going to see if we could look up how it works real quick. Just
yeah. It does say, click back on your social. 1 second.
It shows like how many refers. So it shows like how many nodes. Yeah,
I will copy and paste this to you, and then you can. So I think you get, would have to check, but you definitely get a perk if you buy, the original referrer gets a perk if someone uses a referral code and then buys a Gala node themselves. I think it's a 10% like extra mining output or a one-time 10% fee or something. That's the perk.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
So I think that's all I wanted to go through. I mean, if there's any more questions, happy to answer them. Or if you had any questions, Anika.
Not really, no. Do you have a node?
We haven't bought a node yet. I mean, I'm dying to buy a node and I'm dying to buy an elf. But I'm holding back because once I get once we finish the round of finance and get a Town of the Prince, then kind of I will go and do either the cosmetic thing or buying a node. But also I want to buy a node within the Crown Capital Fund, right? Because it's going to give us an income while we're waiting for Miranda's to start. But I don't know, my gut and all my research says we've just got to secure as many of these Towns of the Prince as possible, and then we can recoup and reevaluate what's important for us.
It's a good idea. Here we have two more questions.
Okay.
If we have a Gala account but didn't sign up under, we answered that one. My bad. Is there a finite source of the crown tokens or coins?
Yes. So the first round of issuance, we're issuing a maximum of 500,000 worth. Each token is 1,000. And then in addition to that, once that round ends, we can then vote as current token holders if it's worth issuing another round. Because there's no point raising more capital if we don't need it, right? If the assets are sold out, there's just no point. So we do not want to dilute the token holders if there isn't an enhancement to the consortium. Also, I really feel that although a lot of these games are all play to earn and similar, 500 coins initially, exactly. Although a lot of these games are similar, I think it's really important that each fund be devoted to a specific game, right? So I would like to get into an Axie land trust as well. Axie has to still do 3 more land drops. They've only done 1. I'm really looking into Illuvium too. But I think that
the other three, and if so, on the next land sale, like they had mentioned that on the next land sale they were looking at raising it like something like between 10 and 20%, but that would destroy the current pricing.
No, I think they said in Axie they're going to do the floor. They're going to sell it at the floor, so they're not going to undersell the floor. But yeah, they've got a finite amount of 90,000 plots in Axie, and I mean we can go into that a little bit if you want. But for me, the point was that each fund should be game specific, because then it makes voting on what to do with the income and the capital much easier, right? Like if we just have a consortium deciding on do we have anything to do with money to raise more money for Miranda's, I think that's an easier question. You know, even another Gala Games, right? Like there's Echoes of Empires that's going to be like an Eve that looks amazing as well. I'd rather do another fund specifically for that, so that we can pay out our holders and they can put their money into the next fund if they want. That's my point. But yeah, I'm definitely looking at Echoes of Empire. I've looked at your one that you're interested in, Bidamon. I'm looking at Illuvium, and I'm looking at Axie once Axie land becomes more available again. But I just felt that from a time frame point of view, Miranda's was the one that's like, oh my God, I can't get over these prices and the fact that it's all sold out. Like it's now or never. And the people have sitting power. I mean, if you go look at OpenSea, there are no towns that are cheap for sale. Not even at crazy prices. Can't even find the dude owning them.
Joke listing because
yeah,
you might get sniped.
Still under the branding of Crown Capital, Crypto Jedi, but each fund will be specific. Like each fund will raise for that game and have its own tokens and so on.
Also, Splinterlands, thank you for the sub. That's pretty cool. Splinterlands sub into our stream.
Oh yeah, awesome. So Splinterland's also part of the Gala ecosystem. Splinterland's doing a deal. Splinterland's doing a deal, as I understand, to be able to use Gala.
Oh, that's cool. Like like run part of their game on there.
That part hasn't been announced, but I think they're going to make it easy to move tokens between the two.
It's like a bridge.
Yeah,
that's cool. Because then that gives that's another outlet for node owners, because you can use
and I think that is what's exciting about like the previous iteration of games and now the new iteration of games, right? Like the previous
thanks for
I think like let's take something like Zed Run, right? Like which is this really popular horse game. Zed Run is awesome, but it would be more awesome if it existed within another metaverse, right? Like take Upland, for example. If you could go to a stadium and click, and then it links you to the Zed-Run system, and the currencies are interchangeable and all of that, that would make a greater immersion of an actual metaverse. And I think that is what's trying to happen. Splinterlands could be the card game we play in the tavern.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Like why not? There's only, most of us are so much on the technological front, so similar, right? So many of these NFTs are similar graphics or equatable, or can be on similar, like repackaged and wrapped so that they can fit on the same blockchains. There's just no reason that we shouldn't be able to have these bridges and be able to like come in. Okay, I want to play Splinterlands. Well, I want to play Miranda's. Okay, how about we meet in the tavern and play together? It's just, why not, right? We did that at our card gaming stores. We seamlessly went from Magic the Gathering to Monopoly to Dungeons and Dragons. Why not? So
really cool. All right, I've kind of run out of things to ask about. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we close this out?
I think we'll do this again. I think as we see like the development happening, let's do this again if you okay having me on again.
Yeah.
And
Awesome. Thanks everybody for showing up and watching. Have a good day. And we'll see you tomorrow. Actually at 10 a.m. we have another stream with an ETH project.
Awesome. We'll keep on putting out amazing content, dude. And talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks.